Hello Knockouts, Tonya TKO here, and as you know, I'm a self-love specialist from TonyaTKO.com. I help you learn how to love yourself and each other. On this channel, we talk about attracting high vibrational relationships into our lives, both platonic and romantic. Today, we're going to be talking about this photo right here. One of the things that you may not know about me is that I also analyze photos, and I'm going to give you some tips in this video on how you can analyze photos as well. So when you see this photo, what is it that comes to mind when you see this picture? The first time I saw it, I thought it was a young college couple laying out on the lawn, and the girl is beseeching something from the guy. You know, sweet talking him in some sort of way, or just laying up comfortably. And then I read the caption on it, and it says, Tyrese is getting backlash for posting this picture of him and his daughter. What's wrong? Question mark, and then a whole bunch of little emojis. And the way that this was presented, and I would show you some of the comments that I saw, except I saw this in a private group, and I don't want to reveal people's identity and the things that they were saying, but I'll give you a rundown of it. So basically, people were saying, oh, there's nothing wrong with this. We shouldn't try to sexualize everything. This is a child and their parent. A boy can do, a girl can do anything with her dad that a boy can do with his mom, etc., etc. And then I left my comment, and I'll read my comment for you, and then we'll have a discussion about this below. All right, so I say, I analyze photos, and if you look, their heads are not connected. Their hearts are not connected. Their genitals are. At some point, we must set up healthy boundaries with our family members, not because there's anything quote unquote wrong, but because it's a sustainable way to grow. Laying crotch to crotch with your father is not sustainable further and further past puberty. If you disagree, please detail why. And what I received were people who were coming out talking about, oh, this is not how I lay with my man, and I don't lay crotch to crotch like this with my man. And I mean, look, when you're analyzing a photo, so this is one of the things that you can do to see where your relationship is going with somebody in your life. Take a photo with them, have somebody else take the photo, and then look at the body language inside the photo. See whether or not your heads are connected, you have a mental connection, whether your hearts are far apart, meaning that there are some heart related things that are just not really connecting and cohesing for you all. Are your pelvic regions connected in the photo, meaning that you all have a good sexual connection, and depending on which other part, sexual and heart, sexual and mental, but no heart, so use that to analyze your own photos. And then let's take a look at this. The facts of the matter are their genitals are connected. Is this a false statement? The fact of the matter is that this is not a sustainable way to grow. This is a 12-year-old girl. She's entering into puberty right now, if she hasn't already. And we have to begin to transition our children out of child mode into young adult mode, and help them learn what is appropriate touch, what is inappropriate touch, what does it mean for you to have full agency of your body, what about agency of other people's bodies, what about people being able to decide what's right for them and their body, etc. Giving children autonomy to make decisions for what is right for them, as well as respecting parents and their boundaries as well. So part of the reason that I'm doing this video is because a lot of the comments that I saw coming up were actually insulting women. And the thing is, I'm like, it's just so bizarre on the internet, where time and time again, it just seems to come right back around to the insulting of women being blamed for almost any and everything. It's just really bizarre, but nonetheless, so people were like, oh, these women coming out didn't have fathers, they got daddy issues, this, that, and the other, etc., etc., etc. Just coming down really hard on the women. And I decided to make this video because number one, you know what, you read, and you know what, it's like this. It's like people read comments from women and they're like, oh, all these single women. You don't know who's commenting because they're single. You don't know who's commenting because they don't have a father. It's like all of these things that we project onto other people, and it's like we do this to, it's like it's done in a way to kind of shut women up, like, shut up, you don't deserve to have an opinion about this because of XYZ. And we act like people are not able to have knowledge and wisdom unless they fall into some sort of predestined or pre-designed category of where we assign them. I grew up with my father. As you all know, I'm in New York right now in my dad's house. I wouldn't lay crotch to crotch like that with my father. As a 12-year-old, he would not allow it. I spoke with my sister about this picture to ask her who she thought was in the photo. Let me ask you, when you saw that photo, if you were just to go by the photo alone, who would you think was in that photo? Listen, I don't expect everyone to agree with me. I'm merely giving, because most of the comments were coming in saying that there's nothing, that this is innocent, there's nothing. And look, I'm not saying that it's not innocent. I'm just saying it's not sustainable. When I spoke with my sister about it, she was like, you know, my kids are getting, even at 9, at 8, 7, 8, 9, my kids were too big to just hop up on top of me like that. And it's like, I have to ask, you know, when do you think is a good time to start teaching our children about appropriate touch, about what the sex organs are and how appropriate it is to lay up on people's sex organs or have people's sex organs touching us, whether it's a father, an uncle, a family friend. It's like there's so many of us who are going through the contortions of trying to create all the ways that this is okay, that we begin to ignore in all the ways that this could not be, and in ways that we need to have the conversations brought up. Is this appropriate touch? And at what stage? And we can't ignore it. Age, size of the child, all of this stuff matters. You know, and then they put up some picture of some Caucasian kids with some very little girls, maybe 4, 5, 6-year-old girls laid on their father's chest. That's not what I'm seeing here. I don't see I don't see heart-to-heart connected here and a father carrying their child, because if you, and listen, in by no means am I trying to indicate or imply that there is something sexual or inappropriate or whatever going on between Tyrese and his daughter. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not speculating anything about that. All I'm talking about is just the mere fact of the matter. Genitals connected. And personally, as a person who analyzes photos, I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because, you know, sex makes children and the main connection that or the I don't know. I don't know. I'm speculating now, and that's something that I did not want to do. I don't know if it's because the main connection is one in which, you know, it was the act of intercourse that created this child, and this I don't know. I don't know why genital to genital is connected in this photo. I don't know. I personally don't know. I know a lot of you talk about how many of these men create racially ambiguous children, biracial children, because those are the type of women that they themselves are attracted to, so they create the types of girls that they themselves would have been attracted to. I don't know, I don't have much input on that, so I'm just going to move forward from there and just open the floor up for feedback from you. At what stage do we start teaching children what appropriate and inappropriate touch is about their bodies and their agency for their own bodies? And age of the child, size of the child also matters. And so I'm coming at this from the perspective of a young lady who grew up with her father. I couldn't just jump upon my father's body anytime I felt like it. I mean, I'm grown now. My father's laying on the ground. I'm just gonna jump on top of him now. First of all, I may crush the man, but still, and you know what? You know what? Let's do right now. Let's open up the floor for a healthy conversation about when you were first made aware of the fact that your body's changing, you're becoming a young woman, or vice versa, you're becoming a young man, and some of the things that you used to do before may not be appropriate now. Tell me, and then also, did that have a positive or a negative effect on you? Was it helpful, not helpful? I know that I would say for me in my household, I would say right around the time that I started going through puberty, I was no longer able to walk around the house, just any kind of way. I had to put on a house robe, etc. And I would say that at first it was a bit jarring to me because I didn't understand. Nobody really sat down and had a conversation with me about my budding body parts. Right? No one had a conversation with me about that. I was just told that I needed to put on a robe, and especially if company was coming over, that I just couldn't walk around any kind of way. And I would say that did it hurt, harm? I would say that it prepared me for college, for entering into the dorm life, especially when we began to become co-ed, right? Because if you really think about it, at what stage do you begin to let your children know about, what's appropriate and inappropriate in front of and with the opposite sex? I would say that it prepared me for co-ed life, where if my roommate's man is coming over or something, I'm not walking around in the same way that I walk around when it's just us girls inside of the house. You know what I mean? So I would say that made me conscientious of, what is appropriate display. And then is this done with boys too? I mean, walking around in your underwear and stuff like that, with your couple, your cupped up, and I don't know. So you all tell me, what was it from your perspective? Did it help? Did it hurt? Did it make you self-conscious? Was violence involved? Because I know that when some young ladies begin to bud, they're accused of doing things that they are not doing, or maybe even doing, and then violence becomes involved in it. And then also, let me ask you all this. Let's get personal, because with me, by the time I started being made aware of what was appropriate and inappropriate dress in front of the opposite sex, I had already been molested at this point. I was molested at the age of 7. I was not taught about inappropriate touch when I was prepubescent. And and I think that it's important to have these conversations with our prepubescent children. At what age do you start talking about sex? We sat Tiara down when she was 3 years old and had a very frank conversation with her about penis entering vagina, sperm, eggs, fertility, insemination. When she was 3 years old, we sat down and we had that conversation with her about where penises go and this, that, and the other. And we did not sugarcoat it. We had a very frank and forthright conversation with her, because at this point, she was going to babysitters' houses. You know what I mean? Well, she was being babysat. And when your child is babysat, sometimes family members of the babysitter come over, sometimes other children come over. And and if you've not had a conversation with your child, you send them out into the world ill-equipped, because you don't know what other people are saying to their children. So it's like Tiara is getting ready to go off to college now. And I had to have a very frank conversation with her about date rape, about drinking, and then also I think it's a good idea to drink with your child before they leave the house. so that they can understand the effects of alcohol before they go out. And it's like, I told somebody, I told someone, first of all, because my father, I'd say by the time I was 9, my father, I had already tasted ginger wine, also sherry. My father let us taste these things. And somebody was like, oh, that's bad parenting or something, this, that, and the other. And I was like, but you know what? I had already tasted sherry, wines, and these alcohols. I'd already tasted that. When I went away to college, I didn't have the desire. Even to this day, I'm still a teetotaler. I don't really drink. I drink very infrequently. I say maybe at most maybe 3 times a year I'll drink, and it's not, you know what I mean? So I was already acclimated before I went out there. You know what I mean? And so back to this photo. Talk to me about your experiences. And I encourage you to have the conversation. Yes, it's innocent. Yes, this photo is innocent, but the fact of the matter is, right? The genitals are an erogenous zone. And then it's like, you know what? And the thing is that people act like children don't feel sexual feelings, and they do. Children is as small as 2 years old. You'll see them self-masturbating, etc., because it feels nice, it feels good. And many of us, will pop our children's hands and make them feel like there's something wrong with it. And you know what the thing is, that we have to find a way. We have to find a way to, I don't want to say quote unquote coexist, but we have to find a way to healthfully come of age, to healthfully come into ourselves as sexual beings. We have to find ways to not camouflage the fact that we as adults are sexual. I was reading a book years ago, and in the book it was talking about, and I don't remember the name of the book, but it was talking about how a lot of children's internal self-disgust and self-hatred comes from the fact that they are brought up in an environment where they are taught that their parents are asexual. And then they start feeling these sexual feelings, especially mothers. Like far too many of us grow up with the idea that our mothers aren't sexual. And so we grow up with this whole virgin whore dichotomy where we're interested in sex and the sexual pleasures, but also in a person who is sexless. Like some people ask the question, why did he loves dirty sex? Why did he marry a good girl only to cheat on her with bad bitches? You know what I'm saying? I said bitches funny there, bitches. Only to cheat on her with bad bitches. And I'm like, so it's like at some point we have to start having healthy conversations with our children, with ourselves, with our partners. Speaking of which, there's so many of us in relationships where we're not even having the type of intercourse that our partners like. We're not allowing our partners to even speak up about the type of intercourse that they like to have. And we're shutting them down, and we're not really in these fulfilled existences because we downplay sex and sexuality, etc. So at what stage do we start having the conversation with our girls, with our boys, about when it's okay to touch, how to touch, etc., for them as well as for other people? You know what I mean? And without blame or making it seem bad, like without being like, oh, get off of me, get off of me, daughter, you don't touch me, like, oh. Without doing all of that, but really saying, you know what, Shayna, let daddy talk to you about what inappropriate and appropriate touch is. As well as parents setting boundaries for their own bodies and being like, you know what, this is how, at this stage, I may not want to be touched like this. You know what I mean? And vice versa. I think having these honest conversations, especially with our children young, would save so many of us so much turmoil. I think really being honest about the fact that, yes, these are erogenous zones. Like, who knows what feeling this young lady has? And it's like, children are so innocent. Like I said, a 2-year-old will be self-masturbating in front of you because the feeling down there is good. And it's like, who knows whether or not who knows whether or not, and it's like, it's innocent, but they could be feeling a good feeling from being touched in such a way and not really understand that that type of good feeling is reserved for certain type of touch when you are in a space to be able to consent to such a touch. I don't know. I hope you all understand what I'm saying. Just for me to put it frankly, since we're talking about having frank conversations, she may even be feeling a good feeling from, a close bonding feeling. She may even be feeling a feeling in her nether regions. Who knows? And it's completely innocent. Like, she's not thinking about taking it to climax or anything like that, but it may just be a good feeling. You know what I mean? And it's completely innocent. However, it's not sustainable. And I think that these conversations need to be had without shame. You know what I mean? And on that note, we're going to jump out of here. I want your opinion on videos coming forward because I'd like to make more videos more often. On my Facebook page, people send in letters about relationship stuff that they're going into. So I want to give you a little survey. I want to give you a little survey below. Before we do the survey, I want to thank everybody who got my book and who is getting my book of affirmation self-love. You all have been doing the doggone thing. For those of you who have gotten it, go over to Amazon and leave a review over there. You guys have made my book climb up from position 1,500,000 up to 25,000 on the bestseller list. So thank you all for that. The book is an affirmations workbook, so you use the book to rewrite your subconscious programming. If you're a person who's being attacked for not having a father, or you think that you may have daddy issues or whatever, and you want to reattune yourself to self-love, get the book. Do those things, reattune yourself, and leave a review. Share the book with other people. Christmas is coming up, so start thinking about getting some Christmas gifts. And I'm also thinking about creating a journal book so that it can be an accompaniment, because this is my book. I use this book myself. As you see, it's written in. I use the book myself. All you have to do is just rewrite the affirmations. And even I, would like a little more extra space to just kind of doodle and work through my thoughts, etc. So I may be doing something like that coming up for Christmas. Let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in as well. So let's do the survey. So if you would like for me to do videos reading the questions that people submit, and if you want to submit questions, come over to my website. There's a contact page over there. Submit your questions. I'll post it on Facebook. If you all would like to see me read these and open it up in video for you all to answer, put up the 1. Okay, so put up a number 1 if you want me to read these questions of the day with people who are writing in with their relationship issues. Put up a 1. Put up the number 2 if you'd like to see more current event stuff that as it relates to self-love, etc. and self-loving through relationships. So put up the number 2 if you would like to see more current event stuff, and just make sure that you're sending me current event stuff. Okay, put up the number 3 if you would like to let's say, put up the number 3 if you would like to have more videos discussing, like, let's say, different types of issues and topics that come up, like maybe a post like this, or meme, or something that just happens to come across the airwaves. It may not be something that's viral, but it may be some food for thought that you would like my point of view on. If that's the case, then you need to send me stuff. You can send it to me on Instagram. I'm going to open back up my Facebook to get stuff. It's just that the Facebook page thing is weird, and people are thinking that they're responding to comments on the page, but it's coming in through the mailbox. So I'll be opening that back up. So you can send it to me on Instagram. You can send it to me on Facebook. You could come to my website and send that to me over there. And then put up the number 4 if you would like more lighthearted, funny topics. I know some of the stuff that we talk about is pretty heavy, but you know, these are the things that you all send to me. You send me very serious topics. It's not like you guys are sending me funny, lighthearted stuff. So one of the ideas that I'm thinking about is maybe doing more instructional type videos, like how-to videos in terms of your life, etc. So those are kind of lighthearted and instructional, so that we can teach as well as not be so serious. You know what I mean? So I did a few of those, like how to initiate sex, how to set boundaries with your girl. I did a few of those for Man Day. So tell me, so that would be number 4. So do your voting below, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'll look through the comments and I'll jump down and we'll have a conversation there. All right, Tonya TKO, and I'm out. Peace.